Hey, y'all, what it is. Y'all already know it is the big bounce out, can't come through the door. Hit the top of this box and forget my soliloquy. In the tough times, don't learn the people do the not for self. Call them in the pile out, me be matter. Peak game, peak game. 84s on what swing. I keep telling you, I'm gonna throw Houston in there somewhere. But before I get into the main entree, the main dish, remember, we clutched up, we clutched out. You know what we talking about. Just like the song we draped up and dripped out, we clutched up and we clutched out. But before we get into all that mumbo jumbo, that Houston slang, gotta introduce our second host, man. Future Hall of Famer, future legend, aka Coach B, brother on the hustle. Let us know how you doing, man.
Hey, what it is, folks? Like Capo said, we clutched up, we clutched out. You know what we here to talk about. And y'all know what I'm finna tell y'all for my intro. Hey, God woke you up. He put breath in your body. Everything else is extra. Get up, do you, take care of you, and take care of the fam. Don't stress anything else. But with all that being said, I'm gonna pass it back to Capo. You go ahead and continue the show and let's let them know how we flow.
Already. So, Richardson Hitchins, man, is coming off a dominant performance against George Kambosos. Some people say he fought, Kambosos better than Devin Haney. Um, but Richardson Hitchins also mentioned after his fight that he's a free agent. He talked about before the fight how Eddie Hearn has done a lot for his career. Um, put him in a lot of fights. Gave him tight opportunities and really invested in him. If those who don't know, Rich Hicks used to be signed to Mayweather Promotions. He was under the Mayweather Promotions banner when Javante Tank Davis was there. And my question to you, Coach, is: do you think Richard Hitchens should explore his options? Or should he remain with Eddie Hearn? A guy who said, "Hey, man, I knew it wasn't no money in this guy, but I believe in him and I invested into this guy." So should he re-sign with Eddie Hearn, or you think he should kind of go do his own thing? Let me know.
Uh, I'm a I was on the fence about this when I started, paying attention to the word player Richardson Hitchison. When I started really listening and diving deep into the situation, I'm gonna say this about Eddie Hearn first and foremost before I get into the other, part of the topic. Eddie Hearns has always kind of put himself in a position to where he eats his words in the end when a fighter, kind of chooses to move or vacate away from matchroom boxing. But at the same time, he does take risk on a lot of fighters that he doesn't really know how they're going to pan out. Now, with Hitchens, I would say at this point in his career, after this dominant performance versus Cambosis, me personally, I think Hitchison has one of the top five jabs in boxing. Don't no matter the weight class. I don't care what division you're talking about. He has a solid, accurate, timely, precise, strategic jab, and that can take you further than some of the other aspects that comes with building yourself as a boxer. But anyways, that's another topic for another day. I think he's at that point in his career where he's starting to understand who he is. He's starting to understand what type of money he can make. He's starting to understand how lethal and how dangerous he is to his oppositions when he get into the ring. And I'm speaking on Richardson Hitchison. For those that don't know him, y'all should go look into him. But I think it's time for him to move on and start promoting himself, building his brand, and start looking for the bag. I'm not saying chase the bag, but at this point, he has set himself up for success. Stand under Eddie Hearn, like I say, he's kind of notorious for bad timing and not being able to get the match that needs to be put together for his top dogs in his yard. He always misses that window. He always comes up with excuses and he always comes up with other stories and narratives to kind of overshadow the fact that you simply just couldn't make this fight happen with this fighter because you wasn't investing in him properly. Yes, he took the small investment, but sometimes you got to invest big into these fighters for other fighters to take notice and say, "Oh, Matchroom, Eddie Hearn, they got Rich Hitch over there. I want to go see what Eddie Hearn really investing about. Sit down, make a contract in a timely manner, and get these fights done." So I don't want him to stay up under Eddie Hearn and miss those timely opportunities and those timely matchups with the right opponent at the right time. So I think it is almost evident and time now for Rich Hitch to start doing what he got to do to set himself up as he moves forward. Because from here, it's only going to get tougher. It's only going to get harder. The contracts, the negotiations going to get tougher. Everything from here on out, it's going to be a little bit more lengthier process to get everything done. So I think it's time for him to step, from under Eddie Hearn and Matchroom and start promoting himself as a free agent. Now, if he can't get it done, what I would have done was kind of kept my mouth closed on the subject, went behind the scenes and talked to Eddie Hearn and let him know, hey, if you can get something done for me, I'll stay here. But if you can't, then I got to move on. Because now that you put it out in the open that you are a free agent, the way Eddie Hearn has been talking about the situation, Eddie Hearn is actually hurt behind the situation. He's kind of bothered. He's moved in the wrong manner. His spirit is not settled within himself about what Hitchison has said, openly and publicly to the people and to the sport of boxing. Hey, I'm a free agent, and I'm here. I'm ready to do what I got to do. Granted, in your mind to yourself, that's the right thing to be doing. But openly, and to the public, saying that kind of puts you in a rough spot, tough spot. But I do think he has the tools. I do think he has the mentality. I do think he has the foundation. Now, what he does going forward is gonna say a lot for Richardson Hitchison. If he goes forward and he presents himself in a positive manner and he stays to the T, and he's dotting his I's and crossing his T's every step of the way, then I think he'll be fine moving forward wherever he chooses to go, whether it's PBC or anywhere else. Hopefully he doesn't go top rank or anything like that. Hopefully he keeps his mind straight. And if, like I say, you already put it out there in the public, you're a free agent. So hopefully it didn't burn a bridge with Eddie Hearns to where you can't go back and say, all right, look, I tried this on my own. It didn't work. Let's keep it going. Let's keep this gravy train rolling while we both still here. I'm still young and I'm still making a name for myself, and I'm still trying to build that solidified resume and do what I got to do to get to the Hall of Fame and the bag.
I agree with everything you said. I just think that I mean, you stupid and you took my word. I think he's going on his own way. Um, Eddie Hearn is a guy that can't really be trusted. So, look what he's doing with Boots. You know what I'm saying? And I just want people to pay attention to that situation. Boots was a fighter when he was on PBC, was marketed the right way. When he was on PBC, was looked at as like a boogeyman. He's showing Eddie Hearn, now he's Boots. You know what I mean? So, uh, I just want people to pay attention to that. How about that Erickson Lupin? Richardson Hitchins is a fighter that, is kind of climbed to the top. You know, I think now he's at that top level now. And he's speaking of the game, as you can see, like Coach said. And when you get guys like this who are students of the game, who know the sport in and out, through and through, you got to understand that he gonna be a problem in the sport. That's just what it is. He's a guy who can fight, got great fundamentals, great balance, great jab. He just continues to grow, and he's learning. You're seeing him grow into who he is as a fighter and as a champion. So, um, me personally, I think that Richardson Hitchens should move on. Thank Eddie Hearn for the opportunity, move on and go somewhere else. Whether he remains kind of like a free agent where he signs with whoever to get a certain fight, you know what I mean? He can do that. You don't necessarily have to dedicate himself to one promotional company. He can kind of sign with this dude just to get this fight. Hey, I'll sign with Turkey for one fight Devin Haney. Hey, I'll sign with PBC to fight so and so, Gary Antoine Russell. Which I like that fight a lot. See, I just put something in the atmosphere. Uh, but I think he that's an option. You know what I mean? I think the time where Eddie Hearn is and he don't got to be for necessarily done with Eddie Hearn. He can still work with Eddie Hearn in some capacity, just not be signed under the Maximum banner. You know, Devin Haney did it, Canelo did it. They used Eddie Hearn for certain fights. So, you know, I don't think he should, you know, completely discontinue work with Eddie Hearn. I think he just needs to be a free agent to where he can go wherever he needs to go to get certain fights. Let's set off to the next topic. Jambu Sanders announces he's going up to 154. He vacates his belts. Um, this is after he was linked to fight the racist. I don't say his name on, um, the racist. Boots turned that fight down. He said, "No, I don't want to fight him. He only wanted to fight champions, and he couldn't get the other champions at the division. Um, so he's going to go 154. Now he's facing some backlash because people are like, dude, you could have been at 154 a long time ago, fighting Virgil Ortiz. You know, you could have been at 154 fighting this person or that person. Now all of a sudden you want to go to 154. So it's a lot of backlash that Boots is facing. Boots has since came out and said, look, you know, basically I'm weight drained. That's basically what he said. He said he went to the doctor. His doctor said he's underperforming in his fights, right? Due to him having to crunch down to 147. So he basically saying he weight drained. Which I remember after he beat Stanionis, he was ridiculing the media for saying, "Oh, I'm not weight drained. I made weight easy. You know, y'all tripping." So there's a kind of a contradictory statement right there. We gotta keep it a thousand. You know, me and Coach B gonna keep it real. So, Coach, how do you feel about Boots going to 154? And what fights do you want to see him, man? Let me know something.
I mean, I like that he's going to win 154, but again, when you speak openly and to the public and put out certain statements, remember what you say on the internet, it don't go away. It can't be erased. It can't be hidden. Somebody gonna find it. Somebody gonna remember what you said. Somebody gonna recite you. Somebody gonna spit it back to you verbatim, word for word. And now that you're moving up to 154, everything is coming back to the surface. They're gonna bring up the ducking Virgil Ortiz. They're gonna bring up the fact that you said, "Oh, I'm good at 147. I'm not weight drained. I'm healthy." But then you backdoor, you go to the doctor, and the doctor tell you otherwise, and now you're going up to 154. Like I say, everything is gonna start resurfacing. But outside of all of that, I like the fact that Boots is going up to 154 because I think everything down at 147 was done for him anyway. Not saying anybody was, not willing to fight him. That they're just looking in other directions. They're not looking in Boots' direction simply because he's been there long enough. They feel like if he really wanted to scrap with whoever, he could have been done it. But again, that falls back on Eddie Hearn, not Herm, excuse me. That falls back on Matchroom Boxing and Eddie Hearn. Again, like I mentioned, the ill-advised timing of trying to get your top dogs in your yard the fights they need to be getting when they need to get them, and not, oh, we're gonna kind of string them along, and then when we feel like the time is right, we're gonna do it. No, it's Boots. You should have been trying to get every fight possible for Boots. Soon as he signed to Matchroom, man, that should have been a no hesitation, no wait, no holds barred. Let's get this dog off the leash and let him loose in the yard so he can start running these other big dogs up out of here. But anyways, I like, outside of all of that, I like the fact that Boots is going to 154 simply because now we can get away from the narrative. Oh, Boots ain't fought nobody. You went to 154. He going to 154. Excuse me. You can't run from nobody up there. From I think from number one all the way down to number 8, 9, 10. Whoever he matched with, he gonna be fighting somebody. I don't care if we talking about Ortiz. I don't care if we talking about Fandor. I don't care if we talking about Charlo. I don't care if we talking about Ramos. And the list goes on. There's other guys, Thurman. There's Spence. The list goes on. So whoever Boots is trying to fight, then you got Murder Zalev, as Capo calls it. Like I don't like the fact that he want a gun for him immediately, because that's just not what you want to do. You need to get up there and get yourself acclimated. But at the same time, him going to 154 doesn't leave him nowhere to run. And that's what we need. More fighters that's been around, that seasoned, that's a veteran, and they understand the sport of boxing, and they want to challenge themselves. There's nowhere to run in the 154-pound division. Yes, you take you a little small tune-up fight, which I really don't believe in, because you did go up there and say, nah, this where the smoke at, not where everybody at. You went up there, you saying that again, you saying these statements out in the public, out, you saying it openly. Now, if your first fight happened to be a Thurman or a Spence or a Charlo, then don't go bargaining, don't go running, don't go ducking. But again, my overall synopsis on this subject is I like the fact that he's moving up to 154. Again, he's closing. There's big dogs all over this yard, and all of them off the leash. All of them can make something happen. So it ain't no running. It ain't no holding back. The chain ain't too tight. Everybody loose in this yard at 154. All you got to do is, all they really got to do at 154 is say, hey, I want Boots. And guess what, Boots? Hey, these dogs off the leash. They off the chain. They ready to go. You gotta stand. You gotta stand on your 10, stand strong, stand on business, stand firm, sign the contract, and get in there and be great.
That's just what it is. I think Boots needs to get from under Eddie Hearn. I don't think he's gonna be able to get these fights for Boots if Boots stay Eddie Hearn. That's my opinion. It's a lot of fights at 154. 154 is cracking. You got Charlo, you got Hitchins, you got Fundora, you got Tim Zoo, you got Jesus Ramos, man, you got Brian Mendoza, Brian Castano. Like the division is cracking, and there's so many fights that can be made. But like I said before, a lot of those fighters that I just named are signed to PBC. So you left. I won't say you left PBC. He's never signed to PBC, but you were with Steven Espinosa, who was helping you fight on Showtime, and you were signed with Eddie Hearn. So, and you're with a guy, Turk, who is secretly trying to. He came into the boxing game talking about unifying boxing, but he's secretly trying to take it over and eliminate them out of boxing. Y'all heard Oscar De La Hoya, and this is weird that Oscar De La Hoya is saying it. He said, me, Al Heyman, and Bob Arum aren't going nowhere. Now, Oscar De La Hoya has always been critical of Al Heyman. But for him to sit there and say, hey, me, Al Heyman, and Bob Arum, two promoters he can't stand, ain't going nowhere, lets me know something. Right? So, in order for Boots to get these fights, he's going to have to go align himself with the right people. He needs to get away from Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn has made him look foolish. He's ruined his name as a respectable fighter. And I just think that, in order for him to gain that respect back, he got to align himself with the right people and put himself in position to basically get said fights and put on a show. You know what I mean? Boots has the skill, has the talent, has the charisma, all that. He just need names. So that's it. He just need names. He say he want to fight all these people. Okay, but you turn down Virgil Ortiz, you turn down the racist fight, which I understand the racist fight. The racist, what would you gain from beating him? You know what I mean? Really. I'm just being real. Yeah, it's a name, but what would you gain from beating him? It's a small dude. He's coming up from 140, to 147. Like, come on. So I think that he's coming from 140, excuse me, to 147 to try to fight you. Like, what would be the point in that? You know what I mean? So I think Boots going to 154 is good for his career. It's about time. We've been begging for him to go up there, and hopefully he get these fights. I mean, the fight we all wanted to see is him versus Crawford. That's what we want to see. I don't think that's ever going to happen. Crawford's going to get this payday and sell off in the structure. So, but who knows? Turk might be able to persuade that boy again. So we shall see. Let's go into our final topic, man. So Brian Norman. Body bag and toe tags Jen Sasaki. That's not out of it. Right? Does it in Japan, goes to Japan and does his thing. But there was another fighter that was there creeping. He was creeping and crawling, right? and that's Devin the Dream Haney. Devin the Dream Haney has said that Brian Norman is not on his level. He a trash fighter. And Brian Norman with it. He like, I'll fight him. So my thing to you, Coach, now that Boots is out the division, break down Brian Norman versus Devin Haney. Can Devin Haney beat Brian Norman Jr.? Let me know something.
No, not with that new style they got. Because boxing is a sport that's always gonna go off of what have you done for me lately. And Devin Haney's last performance was atrocious, and it didn't make sense to me because the opponent he was in the ring with, Devin Haney, I'm speaking of, the opponent that was across the ring from him, didn't match well at all in the category. He wasn't close to Devin Haney in speed, footwork, jab, all the tools, all the accessories, IQ. He wasn't a match at all, and Devin Haney still didn't try to take advantage and really nullify all the negativity he's received before this fight about about he chinny, what I'm saying, he's scared, he nervous, he got p-boy energy, what I'm saying. They say he's scary, they say he didn't try to nullify none of that. He sit there, in my opinion, he kind of sat there and did the complete opposite and kind of proved the people right. You running around the ring. I get it. Your father and Bill Haney, your coach and Bill Haney, told you this is the fight plan. This is what we're gonna do, and this is how we're gonna win. I get it, but at the same time, you Devin the Dream Haney. You looking to go in there and revitalize, rebuild, refurnish, refurbish, retool your career, get the people back on your side, and you chose to go in there and put up this type of performance. And like I say, the sport of boxing is more rides on pause, no freakies in full effect. It rides on what have you done for me lately. And if he goes in there with that performance against a guy like Brian Norman, somebody who knows how to utilize the ring, who knows how to cut off the ring, who's patient, who knows how to use your disadvantages against you, Brian Norman gonna completely get in there and disarray and obliterate Devin Haney. Now, if we get to Devin Haney, this is good. This is a good matchup. This styles make fights. And if we get to Devin Haney well, he's working the jab, he's giving that masterclass performance on fundamentals. He's working the jab, he's staying true to who he is, he's letting his punches go, he's getting in and out, he's staying, in that mid range to long range, you know, fight plan that he always has. If we can get that against the Brian Norman that we've seen as of lately, that'll be a great fight. But if we get that track star Devin Haney, I'm gonna throw 4 or 5 punches around, and I'm gonna just move around the rest of the round and use my feet, then no, he doesn't stand a chance. Even if that's the approach they take, I still feel like Brian Norman will get in there and find a way to cut him off and catch him slipping and cut his lights out. Because I'm still rocking with, hey, Devin, watch out for the left. Ooh, hook. Get up, Devin. Devin, get up. I'm still riding with it till you show me something different. Because after the Garcia fight, Devin Haney didn't come out the same at all. And if you don't get in there and show me something, remember, this is my personal opinion, y'all. If you don't show me something, then I'm not a believer in it. And honestly, I wasn't too much of a believer before the Ryan Garcia mishap. But at the same time, I would like this fight if we can get the old Devin Haney back. The guy we know that can get in there and put on a masterclass performance of fundamentals versus a guy like Brian Norman, who knows himself as a fighter. He's patient. He has power. He's accurate. He's not scared to get in there and get in the blender and fight in the phone booth. If we can get that concoction together in the ring, then this would be a good fight in my opinion. This would be a great fight in my opinion. But at the same time, no, he's not beating Brian Norman simply off his last fight. I can't give Devin Haney any type of dub or any type of one up on anybody until I see he's 100% back confident in himself. I can care less about what Bill Haney says. I can care less about how they promote him, how they move him. I did not see confidence from Devin Haney within himself his last fight, and I'm sticking to it until he showed me something different. But at the same time, if they can make it happen, let's make it happen. But at the same time, I don't like the fact that you flew all the way to Japan either to go see Brian Norman fight. You know, if you really with it, you watch that on TV, get what you can, you know, from the footage, from the film, from the highlights, and you start building from there. You put together a fight plan on how you're going to attack this and get this contract and the situation put together. And when you feel like you've trained yourself up, when you've pre-trained yourself up to where you feel like you're ready to fight a Brian Norman, then you go out public and say, hey, Brian Norman, hey, let's get this thing cracked. Let's get it popping. Let's get it jumping, shaking, however you want to put it, and put together something nice for the folks. But outside of that, man, I don't give Devin Haney no chance against Brian Norman.
Da-da-da-da. That's all I gotta say. I don't care what version of Devin Haney coming up. Devin Haney can be the old Devin Haney, new Devin Haney. I don't care. He's not surviving against Brian Norman. Okay, that 147 is different. When you go up 7 pounds in that weight class, you gotta have something to keep that man off you, and Devin Haney ain't got that. So he gonna run the whole fight. Even if he run the whole fight, all it takes. I've been telling y'all this for the longest time. Devin Haney jaw not set up like that. I told y'all this way before the Ryan fight. When y'all was talking about Devin to beat Tank, I said his jaw not set up like that. I saw it. I really saw it in the Jorge Linares fight. I said y'all saw how that boy was doing the steak leg. He was twerking back to the corner. Pause. The man couldn't. The man's jaw is not set up like that. And as soon as his jaw get touched, he got a Amir Khan jaw where you blow on it. Pause. You can blow on his jaw. Pause. Big pause on that. He hurt. That's why he fought Jose Ramirez like that. He know that. It was revealed. Right? It was exposed. Ryan Garcia really exposed. See, Jorge Linares, he just kind of caught him. But he didn't have enough, because Jorge Linares was kind of out of his prime. He's, the last thing to go from us old school brothers is power. Right? But he kind of out of his prime a little bit. But Ryan, the boy was on the ground slipping and sliding. What you think Brian Norman gonna do to him?
Yeah.
Brian Norman is confident. Brian Norman got power. Brian Norman is patient. He gonna break Devin Haney down. So all that running and stuff, by the time they get in a certain amount of rounds, Devin Haney gonna be able to move. And he gonna force him to fight. That's what he did to Jen Sasaki. I already know. Y'all gonna say Jen Sasaki's not Devin Haney. I agree. But he broke that man down, made him fight a different type of fight. To where he had to stand there. And when he stood there, the man was dead in there. His eyes, them Asians, their eyes barely open. He closed it some more. That man closed that man's eyes some more. He was, you know what I'm saying? So what do you think he's gonna do to Devin Haney? I'm sorry. I just don't see it. I'm sorry. You talking about power puncher? Brian Norman? No. In order to stifle Brian Norman, he has to be in there with another guy that got respectable power. That's why a lot of people wanted him and Boots to fight. Because Boots, he's not like I won't say a power puncher per se, but he got some pop on his punches, right? And he's smooth with it. You know what I mean? He know how to run you into stuff. And that way just would have been a good fight. You got a power puncher versus, I would say Boots is more like a boxer puncher. Whereas Brian Norman is more of just a puncher. You know what I'm saying? Nah, he got some skills too, but he ain't got the skills Boots got. You know what I mean? But Devin, he got skills, but his chin ain't set up like that. I'm telling you. I had to take a breath. All I'm saying at the end of the day is that if that man from Oakland, California, or wherever he claiming, get in there with that boy from Atlanta, Georgia, that country boy, done, sleep. Coach got
Nah, that'll be it for me, boss.
All right, man. Look, we didn't talk everything, man. Y'all continue to support us on the channel, man. We still putting in that work. We busy men, so we kind of slowed down on dropping the vids, but we all about quantity, not quality. You know what I'm saying? So, what I mean? But y'all will still get that good work. Y'all gonna still get that good conversation from me and Coach. Me and Coach are still trying to put in this work and still trying to basically go to channel. So y'all continue to support us, share with everybody, man. Your mama, your grandma, your sister, your auntie, everybody, friends at work. Continue to share the channel. Man, like I told you, this the Genesis, this the beginning. You know what I mean? And we all gonna go together. You got anything that's gonna help us go to channel, put in the comment section. We grown men. You know what I mean? We ain't opposed to any criticism. You get crazy, body bag, toe tag. That's what it's gonna be. Um, and like I said before, man, we love and appreciate all y'all. You know what I'm saying? So continue to follow the channel, continue to follow the journey. Boss, Bodie, yeah,
Salute.